Namaskaram and welcome to this wonderful series called Bhava to Tatwa. Our Indian classical music is a repertory of millions of ragas and different varieties of talas, along with a very high, rich, enriched literature and lyrical values. So we have so many Vaggayakaras who have brought in millions of compositions that we have been singing over the years, which are connected to our itihasas. There are so many Puranic stories that are connected to each of our compositions. Let it be on Lord Sri Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Parvati, Lakshmi, whomsoever, whichever deity we talk about. Each of these compositions do speak about a Puranic story, either emphasizing on the locality where these deities' temples have been. So we're also talking about the geographical locations in many of the compositions that we do. But what is that beauty, or what is that this Bhava to Tatva? In this series of Bhava to Tatva, we are going to delve into, or we are going to experience, rather than dwell, we are going to experience the beauty of not just the ragas, because raga is a samudram, it's like an ocean, wherein it's a combination of multiple swaras. So we are going to enjoy that essence, experimenting and learning the minor sangatis to the major sangatis along with the lyrical essence of it. In turn, how these compositions, the bhava of these compositions are pertaining, are very important for a present day scenarios. How and what we can learn from these compositions in order to enrich our own spiritual, philosophical, intellectual growth. That is the major idea, the bottom line of Bhava to Tatva. In this series, we will start with a very, very beautiful composition by Sri Bhakta Ramadasu. Before we get into the composition, very short story on or biography, if I have to say, of Ramadasu. So Ramadasu was a Tanisha. So as on date, for their younger generation to understand, we can call it as an accountant or a financial officer who used to take care of the finances, the taxes that they collect, pay and all that at Tanisha's court. So Ramadasu apparently has initiated, or he is the one who brought in the beautiful temple of Bhadrachalam, wherein we have Lord Sri Rama along with Lakshmana Swami and Sita Mavaru. And in this story, the biography of Ramadasu, there is an accusation on Ramadasu saying that he has stolen the money from the treasury and then used that money to build a temple, and how this accusation has been resolved and how Ramadasu is out of the jail. Most of his compositions that have been written by Ramadasu has been done when he was in the jail, when he was in a solitary confinement, if I have to use that. That is where his consciousness kind of, absolutely opened up to the divine consciousness, and whatever compositions we know, we have heard, are mostly from that particular era as per the biography and the books that we know. Now the beauty or the twist in the Ramadasa story is Ramulavaru give darshanam to Tanisha along with Lakshmana Swami and Sita Mavaru. That is how the accusation has been removed or cleaned off, but not to Ramadasu. So that is for a modern day mind, for an inquisitive mind. If you just read this as a story, this question comes. Oh, if Ramadasu is the Bhakta, if Ramadasu has been praying Lord Rama, Rama is supposed to come and give a darshanam to Ramadasu. Why is it he has gone to Tanisha, where Tanisha has never even thought of Rama? Tanisha comes from a different religion as well. So how would that happen and why that happened? We will park this for some other day, wherein we explore only the Puranic stories and the inherent meaning of those Puranic stories. But this is a very brief understanding of Ramadasu. The composition that we are going to learn today is Saranagata Rakshana Birudanine, a very beautiful composition in Yaman. I absolutely have to mention this. I have learnt this from Sri Mallavi brothers Parampara. So they have sung this, and they have actually done a workshop wherein a lot of students like me, a lot of enthusiasts, music enthusiasts, have learnt the composition from them. So today we are going to we are going to sing the Bhava, explore the Tatva through the lyrics, through this composition, Saranagata Vatsala. We will just do the Palavi once, and then we will read the lyric and then try to understand the meaning and then the essence there. Saranagata Rakshana Birudanini Sarananti Gadaya. That's the Pallavi. Okay. Saranagata Sharanagata Rakshana Birudanini
Rakshana Birudanine
Sarananti Gadaya
Sharananti Gadaya
Saranagata Rakshana Birudanini
Sharanagata Rakshana Birudanine
Sarananti Gadaya
Sharananti Gadaya.
See, the bhava of this, Sarananti, Saranu is a surrender, right? So when we are singing Sarananti Gadaya, it's like, okay, I have already told you that I am going to surrender myself. So what else you want? So that is why when we are singing also, Sarananti, a bit of a despair in your voice, because you are telling that I am going to Saranu, I am going to surrender to you at your feet, but there is a bit of a despair in your voice. Sarananti Gadaya. So in Telugu we say, not a right word is a dina, but then it's like I still, it's a pain there when I'm even saying I'm surrendering to you. So when we sing it, Saranagata Rakshana Birudanini Saranati Gadaya. Right? We'll with the next line also, and then try to understand the essence of the Pallavi. Veravaku mani abhayam mosagave kanna tandri vayya. Veravakamani
Veravakamani
abhayam mosagave nannu
Abhayam Bosagave Nannu
kanna tandri vayya.
Kannatandri Vayya
Veravakamani abhayam mosagave
Veravakamani Abhayam Bosagave
Nannu
Nannu
kanna tandri vayya.
Kannatandri Vayya
Saranagata
Sharanagata.
Now let's try to understand the meaning word to word and what is the Tatva that we can take it for our modern life that we are leading as on date. Saranagati, as I said, is a surrender. Okay. So if you take it from a English dictionary, surrender, you surrender to someone who is on the higher level, right? So even from a normal context, we see surrender is like wherein you are telling them, someone who is higher than you, you're telling them, okay, whatever you do, whatever you say, I accept it. I don't have any specific prejudice about it. That is what is surrender all about, right? So Saranagata Rakshana Birudani Ne. Rakshana Birudu. Birudu is like a I can't say as an honor. Birudu is like an identity that's been given. So someone told me, because from the Itihasas and the Puranas, here that is what we have to understand. So I have heard about you that whoever comes to you at your feet and then say, I need this help. Oh Lord, my Ishtadaiva, that can be Lord Rama, Krishna, whomsoever we connect to. I've heard that. Because I've heard that, I am coming and then telling it to you that I am surrendering myself to you. Saranagata Rakshana Birudanine Sarananti Gadaya. That's the meaning of it. Verevakamani Abhayam Mosagave. Abhayamu is a promise. So even with the Vishnu Puranas or the Venkateswara Swami also we see the Abhaya Hasta. So Abhayam is like a promise. Okay, I am there for you. I'm going to promise whatever you want, whatever the problems you are going through, I am going to navigate it, and the promise has been given. Verevakamani. So do not delay it. Verevakamani Abhayam Mosagave Nannu Kanna Tandrivaya. You are my Kanna Tandri. An exact translation to English is father. Tandri, biological father. If I have to really put it into Telugu to English, biological father. But here, the Daiva is not a biological father, but he is the universal father. He is the universal power. Right? So he's saying without a delay. Dude, I've already heard about you. Alright? I'm trying to put it to a modern conversation now. I've heard about you. I have come to you asking you for rescue. Do not delay the rescue. Because you are my savior, save me. That is the meaning of this composition, or the meaning of the Palavi. Now, what is the Tatva we are talking here? Most of us, we all know, whether we take it as a philosophical path or a spiritual path, a part of us very clearly understands, I'm sure the scenario that I'm talking about, each one of us, doesn't matter which age, as on date with the generation movement, I am pretty much sure right from the age of 9, 10, they do fall into this conflict management constantly. There is a conflict of your thought, conflict of what you want, conflict of what's happening around you, and then we all try to find a spot wherein we fit into that conflict, isn't it? Yes. So here also, if you actually see, Ramadasu this is our interpretation and modern day understanding is, a part of us know the Ishtadaiva that we believe into. If I have to put it for the teenagers, their trust on friends, their trust on their parents, their trust on the peer groups. We know a part of is very clear that, okay, they are higher, or they know a little more than what we are, or we trust they help us to take a direction, a leap ahead. But when the mind comes into place, right, mind plays a lot of games, and when the mind interferes into the overall understanding, the spiritual terms we call the psychic understanding or the emotional understanding, because you're asking for Saranagati, or you're saying I'm at your feet. But the mind interferes into the whole system and then says, no, my subconscious has got different kinds of memories, my preconceived notions have got a different kind of an understanding. So this conflict is constantly there. How do we come out of this conflict? Now, when we are talking about the Tatva, it is not just about to say, oh, I have a conflict over this conversation or with this composition. I understand there is a conflict, but no, how are we going to come out of the conflict? The answer is pretty much imbibed, pretty much explained in the same thing. What? Veravakamani Abhayam Mosagave Kanna Tandrivaya. So when you are putting someone in an epitome, a place that fathers, right, your parents, doesn't matter, right, way before your birth, right from the fetus is entered, the parents do take care of the kids, and that's a blind understanding. So that means faith, a blind faith or a trust to whomsoever you are connected to. That can be your Ishtadaiva, to people you are, trust that they will navigate through it. That is how the conflict is easily malleable. The knots that we put are easily untied only by that trust, a sincere trust. So that's the Tatva of this Pallavi. Saranagata Rakshana Birudanine Sarananti Gadaya. Right? Any doubts, any questions here, or we move further with the Charanam?
As you're telling about, I am there, I'm promising the hand which is
Abhaya
showing.
Hasta, correct.
Abhaya Hasta. The image of the Balaji, was coming. Like the other hand is actually pointing to the feet.
Correct.
Like, come, like all you need to do is come and surrender.
Absolutely. Have the trust that I'm there. Doesn't matter what. See, because whatever we go through, I mean, this maybe the younger generation might not understand, but people who are into slightly inclined towards their intellectual enhancements or spiritual paths, samskaras are something which are there, which we carry. So we call it as a habits also. So we have some habits imbibed in our system wherein your mind and vital react to those habits. So there is this scientific thing also recently I heard when you do a pranayama, okay, which is very, very relevantly connected to it. When you do a pranayama, we hold the breath, right? So when you're holding a breath, there is a neuroscientist who's done a very small experiment saying that when you're holding your breath, remember, ask or reiterate to yourself what you want. It's like you're manifesting your thought. Okay, what happens during that time, because the breath is rotating and then you need to exhale and then breathe in, otherwise the whole system kind of shuts down. The subconscious memory, subconscious mind registers your thought, registers what you want, and it slowly manifests. So this whole thing, it's a process. Your mind, it registers, and when we constantly remember, remind to offer, pray, and then believe that your Istadeva is always with you. So back to the Puranic stories, even take the Krishna story, take the Lord Rama story, any of those Puranic stories, the bottom line is very, very simple. Just believe me, call me as a friend, do not keep that distance. That we know this from, we can understand this from Gajendra Moksha story. We can understand the same thing from Krishna and Draupadi's Vastraparana story. We can understand this very simply from Krishna enjoying the delicacy of Atukulu given by Sudama, wherein he has got a multiple things spread. So what is needed is that feet. Get there, let go of all your inhibitions, your ego, and then surrender yourself at the feet of your Istadeva, and they will navigate. Saranagata Rakshana. Right? The first charanam of this is Karivarada Sirulosaganu Dasarada Nandana Ravaya. Dasarada Nandana is Lord Sri Rama. Okay? Karivarada. Kari is an elephant. Karivarada, so the reference is again back to the just we mentioned the Gajendra Moksha story, which is to Lord Vishnu. Karivarada Sirulosaganu Dasarada Nandana Ravaya Niratamu Ni Namamu Na Jihvaku Ruchikaramaya. I really love this Charanam because it has got an amazing interpretation to it. And how true and how connecting it is to our own life, a daily life that we lead on to. We will first sing that and then we'll come there. Karivarada
Karivarada
Sirulosaganu
Sirulosaganu
Dasaratha
Dasaratha
Nandana Ravaya
Nandana Ravaya
Niratamu Ni Namamu
Niratamu Ni Namamu
Najvaku
Najhaku
Ruchikaramaya
Ruchikaramaya
Saranagata
Sharanagata.
So now let's walk through what Ramadasu is trying to tell us here. As I said, Karivarada, it's a referral to Lord Vishnu. Okay? Sirulosaganu Dasaratha Nandana Ravaya. So if you just break that line into three parts, Karivarada is Lord Vishnu, Dasaratha Nandana is Lord Rama. So it's like multiple names of the same deity, Vishnu's multiple names. So we can just understand it that way. What is this Sirulosaganu? Siri is wealth. So if we have to understand here, why does someone take it from a normal perspective? Forget that he's an evolved soul. Obviously, all the Vagaiskaras, they have come onto earth for a purpose. So we cannot really demean, oh, it's a normal human being there, he's just written some compositions. Absolutely no, they're all like evolved souls. But for an instance, let's take it as a scenario. What does or how does wealth is important to someone who has put in jail for an acquisition? What is happening here? Ramadasu has been put in jail for theft.
Correct.
Right? If you actually see it from a normal human perspective, okay, I'm accused of something. If I haven't done anything, I'm truthful to myself, I'll find a ways to come out of it, right? I find a ways to prove not guilty and then come out of it. In this scenario, we can consider, because Ramadasu has been put in jail for theft, he is thinking, again, a part of his, so when I say a part of it, the inconscient, which is not absolutely opened up totally into the Lord's consciousness or merged into the Lord's consciousness, is putting this doubt in his mind or this idea into his mind. Okay, let me get that wealth, let me hand it over to Tanisha, and I am out of this trouble. Right? Karivarada Sirulosaganu Dasaratha Nandana Ravaya. Come and do that. I've been doing so much for you. I've been singing your Nama Japa. Don't you think so this happens with most of us? Or I can say every one of us. We all think I've been doing so much, but I'm not getting what I'm asking for. But what we are asking for is a very, very, very pretty much rooted into the inconscient. We don't know the divine's will. We don't know what they want from us. We don't know the soul call. What we understand is what we see. Now you might ask, or this question has come to me only, how can this line be helpful for a teenager? Teenagers wouldn't understand the soul call, or teenagers wouldn't understand what is the divine's will, my will and all that. For them it's like absolutely no, it's a jargon. But what is that is happening even pertaining to that age group? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna very clearly says, do your work, do not expect the result. Right? I'm not going with the shloka, but that's the gist of it. Now, if you go to a teenager or a preteen or a kid or even a young adult and then say, do your work, do not expect your, results, they would say, then why would I work? Why should I actually spend so much of my time and energy when I'm not getting what I want? But the essence of it here is, do your work with a perfect precision. Do whatever you're doing with perfect love and perfection as much as you can. Do expect the result, because that is how your mind works. Unless and until you have a target to reach, you will not be motivated to do that. That's a very normal human nature, right? But when you are doing that, be conscious. That is the conscious and the inconscient we are talking about. Be conscious that you're not getting into a loop. You're not doing this because you have to please someone, because someone's expectations are there and then you have to fulfill those expectations, because you will be praised. So that those tags should not be there. Right? You have the tag that is inconscient. You don't have the tag, you are conscious about what you're doing. Here, being conscious or merging into the divine doesn't mean they also should feel the presence of the Lord. They might not. For their age and vital, they wouldn't care. But how is that they have to understand this? The mind, that's a desire. Right? The mind, it is saying, pay the cash and then I'm happy. It's a desire, and then you have, okay, I do this, I get it. So it's an action reaction. That is absolutely will lead you nowhere. That is what this line, according to me, is what is showing to each one of us, to all age groups. Karivarada Sirulosaganu Dasarada Nandana Ravaya. Then comes Niratamu ni namamu na jihvaku ruchikaramaya. Now I'll take the Ramadasu's context here, and then let me put it. He's a conscious soul. He already understands. A part of him is still in the normal human rut, which is like glued up, an endless abyss. It's a constant process of offering and then surrender. But what is he saying? Jihva is in Telugu tongue. Jihva is also termed as your soul, your prana. Right? So here it is said, Niratamu ni namamu na jihvaku. So the nama japa, Rama, 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 Rama japa is like a nectar to my soul. That is the exact meaning of what it is there. How can we interpret? Let me just take a very small scenario which connects to our tongue. We all love food. We all have our own preferences. Few of us would feel very, very connected to savories. Few of us love sweets. We have our own taste, right? So you have tasted something, imagine, and then you really relish that taste. You have enjoyed that flavor every second of it till you eat and then get into your tummy. So that is the relishing way of eating it. Next time when you see that sweet or that particular food item, or when you smell that particular item, what happens to you?
Mouth waters, feel like eating.
Correct? So this time, it's not just the tongue which is tasting and then producing it, but your all other senses are also actively acting. Right? Your eyes look at it, you feel hungry. Your nose smells the food and then you feel hungry. So what is happening? These two are sending a direct connection to the mind again, and then you feel tempted. Maybe you are full, your tummy is full, but then we do feel tempted. Tongue hunger is what we call. We dwell into that food, right? But the tummy can't take it. That's a different story. Here, just take this context of it. So what is happening again? It's a loop of your desires, loop of the attractions that we have around us, and then how we are kind of, entangling ourselves into that loop. We see something, we go to a market, we see something, we get attracted. We might not want it, but then we buy it. This applies to all age groups, right? We see something, we hear to something, someone else is doing it, so we try to do it. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to engage the prana. Absolutely, yes. Even here, we are trying to engage the prana. But is that the right amount, right essence that we are engaging into the prana? That is what again one needs to do the tarka. Whether this is good enough or not. Otherwise the tummy gets, absolutely screwed up. Here Ramadasu Varu is saying, Niratamu ni namamu na jihvaku. The way a materialistic thing is filling and then giving me a bliss, whether that bliss is momentary or not. For all our examples we have taken, they're all momentary things, right? You enjoy that food, you're happy, and then you won't think of it for a long. After some time you forgot and then you're carried away with something else. But here the Rama Nama, the nectar of that Nama is such a beautiful bliss which stays with me for every second of my life. Every cell of my body enjoys that beauty of your Nama. That is what is Ramadasu is saying. Ni namamu na jihvaku. Here jihva is the soul. It is filling my soul with an absolute delightful joy. And your Rama Namam is that. And what is a take from this for all of us? Whatever we believe in, have the joy in whatever we are doing than just dumping into our desires and then, filling a lot of crap into our system, the soul. Give that purity to the soul. And this applies to all age groups. Doesn't matter whether you are spiritually inclined or you are not, or whether you are a teenager or a toddler or an adult. Okay? Let's sing this once more. Karivarada sirulo saganu dasaradha.
Karivarada సిరులో సగను దశరథ
సిరులో సగను
సిరులో సగను
దశరథ
దశరథ
నందన రావయ్యా
నందన రావయ్యా
నిరతము నీ నామము నా జిహ్వకు
నిరతము నీ నామము నా జిహ్వకు
రుచికరమయ్యా
రుచికరమయ్యా
శరణాగత. Shall we sing this Pallavi and Charanam together? Yeah?
Together.
Yes, we'll do it together and then we will stop it there. We will learn bit by bit. We'll do Pallavi and the first Charanam. Yeah? One, two, three, go. Saranagata Rakshana Birudhanine Sarananti Gadaiya. There you can take a little lag there. Sarananti Gadaiya. It's like you're pleading. Once again. Saranagata Rakshana Birudhanine Sarananti Gadaiya Vairava Kumani Abhayam Mosagave Nannu Kannatandrivaiya. Once again. Vairava Kumani Abhayam Mosagave Nannu Kannatandrivaiya Saranagata. Charanam. Karivarada Sirulo Saganu Dasaraga Nandana Ravaiya Karivarada Sirulo Saganu Dasaraga Nandana Ravaiya నిరతము నీ నామము నా జిహ్వకు రుచికరమయ్యా శరణాగత రక్షణ బిరుదనినే శరణంతి గదయ్యా